Most gardeners think they need to add worms to their soil to fix it. That's the mistake. The real reason your soil has no earthworms isn't because they're missing, it's because your soil is actively pushing them away. And when worms stay away, your soil slowly dies. You get compacted beds, poor drainage, weak root systems, and nutrients that just sit there instead of cycling. You can keep adding compost, fertilizer, even expensive soil mixes. But without worm activity, your garden will never reach its full potential. Now, before we get into what to bury and why it works so fast, let me show you something small that made a big difference in how I feed my soil. I use a simple countertop compost bin, the Enloy compost bin for kitchen countertop. It keeps food scraps contained, odor-free and actually usable instead of drying out or rotting incorrectly. I'll leave the exact one I use in the description if you want to check it out. The reason this matters is because most people lose valuable nitrogen and microbial life before it even reaches the soil. This fixes that. Now let's talk about what actually makes worms show up and stay. So here's the real reason worms might be ignoring your garden. Earthworms aren't just scattered around by chance. They'll only show up where the conditions are just right. Think moisture, oxygen, and probably most important of all, food that's already partially broken down. If you've ever buried raw kitchen scraps and came back later to find nothing but mold or even some pests, that's because you skipped a really critical stage. Worms don't actually like fresh waste the way folks might think. They're after material that microbes have already started to break down. And, well, that's where most gardeners tend to go wrong. They'll bury scraps too early, too deep, or just in the wrong form altogether. What you really need to bury is something that acts like a magnet, not just plain old food, but a true microbial hotspot. And honestly, this is where things start to get interesting. Here's the method that, honestly, turns your soil into a real worm magnet. Instead of just burying raw scraps, you're actually going to precondition them first. So take your kitchen waste, like vegetable peels, fruit scraps, even coffee grounds, and let it sit in your compost bin just long enough to start breaking down a bit. You don't want it fully composted and definitely not slimy, just, slightly softened and active. Then you're going to bury it, but in a very specific way. Dig a hole about 6 to 8 inches deep in your garden bed, not too shallow or you'll end up attracting pests. Not too deep either, or you lose oxygen, and worms really need that. Now just drop in a handful or two of that pre-conditioned organic matter and cover it loosely with soil. Don't compact it. Seriously, air pockets matter here. What happens next is actually what most people never get to see. Within days, microbes explode in that pocket. Fungi begin colonizing the material. Heat rises slightly, but not enough to kill anything beneficial. And then worms find it. Not one or two, dozens. Because you didn't just bury food, you created a living ecosystem. Why this works better than compost alone? Here's something most gardening advice gets wrong. Compost is great, but it's not always enough to attract worms quickly. Finished compost is already stable. Worms will pass through it, sure, but they're not drawn to it the same way they are to active decomposition zones. What you're doing here is creating micro-feeding stations, and when you repeat this across your garden every few feet, you're essentially training worms to live in your soil permanently. I've done this in raised beds, in-ground gardens, and even large containers. The results are consistent. After about 2 to 3 weeks, you start seeing worm castings on the surface. The soil structure changes, it becomes crumbly, dark, and holds moisture without becoming soggy. That's when you know it's working. There's one mistake that can ruin this completely. If your soil is too dry, none of this works. Worms breathe through their skin. No moisture means no worms, no matter how much food you bury. But here's the nuance. Overly wet soil is just as bad. You'll create anaerobic conditions, and instead of worms, you'll attract the wrong kind of bacteria and bad smells. You want consistent, moderate moisture. Think of a wrung-out sponge. In my own beds, I water lightly after burying the material, then mulch over the area. That mulch layer is critical. It stabilizes temperature, retains moisture, and gives worms a safe surface environment to move through. Without mulch, you're making their job harder. Let's talk about timing, because this changes everything. If you bury this material randomly, you'll get random results. The best time to do this is when your soil is biologically active, early morning or late afternoon, especially during warm seasons. You'll want to avoid doing it in extremely hot midday sun or during cold, inactive periods. Worms respond to environmental signals, and timing affects how quickly they colonize those pockets. In hydroponic systems, obviously you're not burying anything, but this principle still matters. The idea of feeding microbes first, then letting biology do the work, translates directly into how you manage beneficial bacteria in nutrient solutions. It's all connected. What happens after a few weeks will surprise you. Most people expect worms to just increase in number, but that's not the biggest benefit. The real transformation is in your soil structure. You'll notice water soaking in faster but staying longer. Roots will penetrate deeper with less resistance. Plants become more resilient, not because you added fertilizer, but because the soil is now functioning properly. Worms create channels that improve aeration. Their castings are rich in bioavailable nutrients, and more importantly, they support microbial life that plants depend on. You're not just feeding plants anymore, you're building a system. And here's something most gardeners never test. Try this in one section of your garden and leave another section untreated. Same crops, same watering, same sunlight. Within a month, you'll see the difference. Healthier growth, stronger stems, and fewer issues with nutrient deficiencies in the treated area. That's not theory. That's something I've tested repeatedly. If you want to take it further, there's an advanced trick. Once you start seeing consistent worm activity, you can layer this method. Instead of single pockets, create a rotating pattern. Every week, bury small amounts in different spots. This keeps worms moving, feeding, and reproducing across the entire bed. Over time, you won't need to fix your soil anymore. It maintains itself. And that's the goal most gardeners never reach. This is where most people overcomplicate things. You don't need to buy worms, you don't need expensive soil amendments, and you definitely don't need to rely on synthetic inputs to get healthy plants. What you need is to understand how soil biology actually works, and then support it. That's what this method does. It's simple, but it's not basic. There's a difference. And once you see it working in your own garden, it changes how you approach everything else, from composting to watering to planting. Final thoughts. If your garden feels stuck, if yields are low, soil is hard, or plants just aren't thriving, don't start by adding more products. Start by fixing what's happening below the surface. Worms are a signal. When they show up in large numbers, it means your soil is alive. And when your soil is alive, everything else becomes easier. If you found this useful, subscribe to the channel. This is the kind of practical, real-world gardening that actually moves the needle. And if you know someone struggling with their soil, share this with them. Sometimes the smallest change, like what you bury, makes the biggest difference.